Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second session of the Entrepreneurial Mindset series. Transform your business with marketing and branding strategies. As chair of the Economic Development Committee of the Pittsburgh Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, it's our pleasure to host you for tonight's session. Again, I'm April Russell, joined by our co-chair, Miriam Woods, along with the leadership of Deborah Gloucester, subcommittee chair, and Bridget Bethia, co-chair. Tonight's session is all about unlocking the power of marketing and branding, tools that every entrepreneur needs to stand out and connect with their audience and grow their business. If you're starting out or scaling up, our goal is to leave you with strategies that inspire action and spark transformation in your business journey. So thank you for choosing to invest your time with us tonight. Without further delay, I'll now turn it over to Deborah Gloucester, who will introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Nick Nelson.
Good evening. Thank you, April Russell, for that introduction. I would like to welcome our guest speaker, who is Nick Nelson. He's award-winning brand strategist and CEO of Brandpreneur Agency, the nation's leading personal and professional brand development firm for people, founders, and businesses of color. Nelson is an innovative force in brand marketing. And throughout his nearly 2 decades long career, he has produced targeted marketing and communication strategies for leading consumer products and entertainment brands. Most notable include Disney, General Mills, HBO, NBC, Stars, Warner Brothers, Pictures, and Walmart. And I present to you Nick Nelson.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good. Well, you are in ground zero. This is Brandpreneur Studios. I have a studio that's located in Midtown Atlanta in a beautiful facility called the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship. Within the Russell Center, you have over 500, I believe now, stakeholders that are going through a process where they're learning how to grow and build their business, whether or not they're in the ideation phase, all the way to growing and scaling. And as part of that, today we had an activity where we had Headshot Day. We do that once a month. And I provide all of the stakeholders here a brand new headshot. So you'll see some of that work in the background right there. With Brandpreneur, I'll say that Brandpreneur is a name, image, and likeness firm. So what does that mean? That means that names matter. So what is your brand? What is it? A brand is two things and two things only. It's what do you want to be known for and how do you want to make people feel? Being known for something and making people feel a certain way is the very definition of a brand. Image. Because image is important. People judge you immediately by the way you look, not just in person, but also online. So what does your background look like? What do you look like? Are you looking in the camera? All of these things, people begin to judge. And so we assist in terms of making certain that people look polished online every bit as much as they typically look polished in person. I like to say that sometimes there are two boxes of spaghetti on a shelf. One box is dented, the other box isn't. They both have the same ingredients on the inside, but I would beg to differ that if you were shopping, you would go after the box that was not dented. The same goes for other people. As they see you and they search for you online or what have you, your image makes a difference, and we help people to perfect that. And then lastly is likeness, right? I equate that in terms of, are you likable? Feeling, do you project a feeling, the right feeling for the people that you're trying to go after? So what are we doing here tonight? We are going to talk about what you need to do to really begin to build your brand, right? Not just your personal brand, but connecting it to the other organizations that you represent, one of them even being Delta Sigma Theta, right? And so it's very important that you do that because people buy into people before they buy into brands. Now, I'm not one that's big on PowerPoints. I do have a slide that I would like to share if it's possible, if I have permission. And I will take it just to one page only. But it is the most important page because it truly represents what it is we're going to be talking about this evening. So I will attempt to share right now. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
All right, wonderful, 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 wonderful. Okay, now, when you're building your brand, there are 6 questions that every brand must ask. 6 questions, all right? These questions are always the same, but the outcome is always different based off of the person. So we'll go through them collectively, but then I will go through them one by one. So the first question you want to ask as you're trying to build your professional brand is, who am I? Who am I is really drilled down into purpose. The next question you want to ask is, what do I do? What do I do? Professionally, professionally. That's the one thing you want to be known for, and we'll get into that. Who do you do it for? Um, we all serve someone. So based off of what you do professionally, who is it that you're trying to serve? You desire to serve, you're built to serve, you want to serve. In marketing terms, they call that your target audience. Next, what do people want and need? That's what problem do you solve? If you solve a problem, you'll never run out of clients. Those individuals that are able to solve a problem, they stay booked and busy, or they stay needed, or whatever the case, right? They always stay active, right? And so it's, what problem do you solve? What is your onlyness? That's the thing that you do better than anybody else who says that they do the same thing you do, right? And then ultimately, what do people get as a result? Because people are always needing something and they want to understand what is the return on the investment that they will get. So ultimately, you have to be able to message yourself. You have to be able to message yourself. And so the way I do things is that I am very interactive. If you think I'm going to just lecture to you for the next 45 minutes, you're absolutely wrong. Because it's important that you get a chance to try to do some of these things, and we do them in real time and in action. I will have failed, and you would have wasted your time. If by the time we leave this call, you are unable to pitch yourself or tell your brand story a little bit better than you did when you came on. All right. So, who are you? Who are you is one of those big questions that we're constantly asking ourselves because we're constantly changing. Life happens, things happen, we learn, we fail, we succeed, but it's constantly changing. So it's, who am I today? Who am I today? I dare say that every 4 years we evolve, right? And so I think that it's very important that you take stock in that. A lot of it has to do with story. Story is very important. Story makes us who we are. Our life is comprised of various events that make us into who we are today. How we were raised, our childhood, our trauma, our successes, our failures, the people that we've engaged with, the people that have hurt us, right? The people that have loved us. All of these things make us who we are today. One of the big things that I've learned is that going back to your childhood um, really helps to define the outcome of what you did and are doing professionally. Um, Autumn Beck, you there?
Yes.
What did you want to do what did you want to be when you were 10 years old, Autumn?
When I was 10 years old, I wouldn't give you my honest answer.
Yeah, I want your honest answer. What did you want to be? You were 10 years old.
Honestly, probably my mother. She
You wanted to be your mom. Okay. What did your
was a
mom?
nurse.
She was a nurse, so you wanted to be a
Yeah.
nurse. Okay. All right. And ultimately, what did you go on to do?
I am a nurse.
Look at that. The things that we wanted to do as a child, they never leave us, right? We don't always go on to do those things. Many times we don't, right? I wanted to be a music producer, right? I loved music. And I went on to, still do something creative, but never really did that. But it impacted how I moved in the world, right? So it's very important that you take stock of your story. I like to say that you are the protagonist. You're the protagonist. Christy Jones. Christy Jones. You there, Christy? All right, maybe Christy's not there. Danielle Robinson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, wonderful. Have you ever heard of the term protagonist?
No.
Okay. A protagonist is a literary term. All right. In every story, there is a protagonist. That story is the hero of the story. It's the person that the story centers around. Danielle Robinson, do you know who the protagonist is in your story?
And my story would be my father.
No.
He's always
Try
been my
again.
hero.
No. In your story, who is the protagonist in your story? Your life
Me.
centers around one person. Who's it centered around?
Me, myself.
Very good. Very good. In your story, you are the protagonist. Now, your father could be a supporting character, right? You might even have antagonists, people that are going after and trying to do harm to the protagonist, right? But understand that story matters. And it also is important as it relates to where you go, what you do, who you interact with, how you move and walk in the world, right? For some people, it's the reason why they don't trust. For other people, it's the reason why they love to laugh and have fun, right? For some people, it's the reason why they married who they married, right? There might be some, lessons that you've learned in the world. Say, yep, I'm not going to make that mistake again, right? And it dictated how you moved in the world. So who are you is very important as it relates to your brand, all right? What you do. What you do is the one thing you want to be known for. Now, Nick, why one thing? Ultimately, the objective is to have other people sell you. That's how you gain access to hidden opportunities. Other people sell you. Let me give you an example. I didn't know anybody within your chapter, right? Other than Marion, all right? Marion provided me an opportunity that I would have never been exposed to had I not engaged with Marion, if known Marion. And what did she do? She provided me access to an opportunity that was hidden. Now, let's look at your life. The more people understand what you do, the easier it is for them to sell you, to bring you in, tap you on the shoulder for various opportunities, or engage with you themselves, right? We're not all entrepreneurs, but as a part of an entrepreneurial mindset, the way in which entrepreneurs grow at scale and they advance is they are tapped to do various things, right? Hopefully it's in relationship to their business. Now, that is why we push ourselves out there. We talk about what we do, or at least you should, because it gives you access to opportunities, many of them that are hidden in plain sight. So, one thing, one brand thing. One of the biggest mistakes that my clients make is, well, Nick, I don't want to be put in a box. If I can only tell you how many times, Nick, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to be put in a box. Yes, you do. You want to be put in a box, right? Being put in a box doesn't mean that you can't do other things. Many people do, but it introduces people to you and makes you very accessible. Autumn said, I'm a nurse, right? Now, she could have said, many different things, right? I'm sure she has other interests besides nursing. I would imagine so, but she led with that. So I understand that what nurses do, right? Now, there are various types of nurses. We didn't get into that, but I'm a nurse, right? Keep what it is that you do professionally simple. It has to make sense to other people. Some of y'all like to be so fancy, right? With how you describe yourself. Some of you are so verbacious in terms of how you describe yourself. It has to be something that a person can understand. One of the things that we do here in Atlanta, and Marion can attest to this, is we go to galas. We like to dress up. We like to eat that rubbery chicken, and we like to network or go out and about and have drinks and things of that nature. We network here in Atlanta. We do. We do it with the best of them. And one of the questions that will inevitably come up when you are out networking is, so what do you do? So what do you do? Now, the more you are able to laser focus in on a specific thing, one thing, the more likely the person on the receiving end will understand. There have been times when I have been literally glassy-eyed. Somebody is telling me what it is that they're doing, and it is just taking too long. They're all over the place, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I will act like I know what you're talking about all day, right? I'm like, okay, oh, this sounds very interesting. And if somebody would have tapped me on the shoulder and said, what did I do? I had no idea. I had no clue whatsoever, right? That's because you're doing way too much. You're doing way too much. So, who was that? Kel Lisa. Kel Lisa, are you there? All right, Christy Jones, are you there? I know Deborah Gloucester's there because she has her camera on. Deborah,
Yes, I'm here.
so what do you do?
I teach yoga.
You're a yoga instructor.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Who are you?
I am a yoga instructor. I have my own individual business called Yoga for Everybody.
Okay. All right. What's your story? Why yoga? What got you? How did we get there? Out of everything, why not be a nurse? Why be a yoga instructor?
Well, let me just say I reinvented myself. Was an educator before, and
Okay.
now I'm a yoga instructor, and it was due to health benefits. When I wasn't able to hit the gym the way I wanted to because of an injury, I started yoga and I got
Mhm.
hooked. And I like what it did for me, so I do it for others.
Very good. So you see how story played into how she presented herself, right? Initially, it's just like, I'm a yoga instructor. Now, as you are learning to pitch yourself, as you feel comfortable, as you perfect your pitch, giving a little bit of backstory always helps, right? Because it allows people to get to know you, and people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So it allows you to get there faster. By you providing some backstory, Deborah, you might find your next yoga client, right? You know, because I've always wanted to try. I've always wanted to try yoga. I have just been afraid. I look at some of them poses and I'm like, okay, absolutely not. That is not for me, right? But I don't know that Terry might. I mean, Deborah might, you know, make it easy for me, right? Or give me some moves or something like that. But it helps me to understand better because I understand your story better. Who are you? What do you do? The one thing, who do you do it for? Who do you do yoga for? Who's your target audience?
My target audience are the community at the Kingsley Center, and I also work with teens. And occasionally I might be asked to do a workshop for someone.
Okay. And do they know that you're for them?
Yes, I try to make them feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And because I feel it's accessible, I want it accessible for everyone, and they leave feeling better than the way they came in.
Very good. Okay. When it comes to who you do it for, um, you want to start broad, but then get as specific as you can. You want to go deep, right? Um, Go broad because it's, first of all, you know, I want to help people. Okay, great. What kind of people? Well, I want to help this kind of people. Okay. Within that segment of people, is there another segment of people that is your ideal person? Who is your person? Who's your person, right? Every entrepreneur should have what they call an avatar of their person. This is the one who needs me most, attracted to me most, is most likely to engage with me. The problem that many entrepreneurs face is that they are going too wide. They don't know who their person is, and they're trying to go after everybody. You don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough bandwidth to go after everybody. That's why it's very important that you understand who you do it for, who you do it for. That is your target audience. Many times your target audience, they don't even know that you're for them until they engage with you, right? So that's why you have to know. But the other thing is, Nick, how do I identify who my target audience is? A lot of it has to do with who do you want to serve, right? Who do you desire to serve first? Number two, um, who has purchased from you before or who tends to engage with you? What are some of the patterns? Oftentimes we'll see, and there will be patterns that occur, right? What are some of the patterns? But the more that you are able to understand that target audience, the more you're able to engage, all right? Now, what do these people want and need? That's the problem you solve, right? People are always looking for someone to solve a problem for them. Marion, what's a recent problem that you needed help with?
A recent problem that I needed help with was getting chapter 2 of my dissertation completed.
Ah, okay. Who did you go to help you solve that problem?
So I went to my dissertation chair, but I also hired a dissertation coach.
And you hired a dissertation coach. Okay. How did you find this dissertation coach?
Through her branding. And most of her branding was word of mouth.
Really? So somebody told you about this dissertation coach?
Somebody told me recent individuals who just completed their doctorate passed the information on as they were exiting out of the program.
See how that works. So, you understood that they were a dissertation coach. So you understood what it is that they do. You understood who they did it for, PhD candidates, right? That are having trouble, get to the problem they solve. with completing their dissertation. Because not everybody is skilled at writing and, and doing everything that they're looking for as you're trying to prepare your dissertation. So, thank you, Miriam. So it's very important that people understand the problem you solve. But you see how that dissertation coach tapped into a hidden opportunity. Did you know this dissertation coach beforehand, Miriam?
I did not.
Right. So this dissertation coach clearly has other people selling for him or her. Right. Um, Word of mouth is your fast track to gaining opportunities. That's why I say many times opportunities come through other people, but they cannot come through other people if they don't know what you do, if they don't know who you're for, and if they don't know what problem do you solve. As long as I have been in business, one of the primary business functions that I've never seen a person be unemployed in is an accountant. I've seen all sorts of accountants, and they're always like, Nick, the last thing I need are some more clients. I don't need no more clients. I have enough clients. I don't need any more clients. I'm trying to get rid of clients. Do you want to take some of my clients? That's because with accounting, it's a very necessary function within business and in households, right? Because of things like reports that we have to understand how our businesses are doing. Also, we just have IRS and tax obligations that we have to take care of. So it is very important. It's very important that people understand what you do and the problem that you solve. The problem you solve. Now, the thing about the internet is that people can look real good and be real raggedy. Oh, they can look good. You got people now who know how to have a good talk game. Now with Chat GPT and all this other AI stuff, they really sound like they know what they're talking about. And they are Chat GPT or YouTube or Google smart. They're not experienced smart. And so it's important that you understand what your superpower is. What your superpower is. Sandra Lewis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What do you do?
I am a retired accountant.
Did you ever run out of clients?
Nope. I worked in industry, but there was always plenty of work for us to do.
There's always plenty of work. I've never seen an accountant without a lot of work to do. All right, very good. Who do you do it for? Or what do you do now? Now that you're
I
retired.
work with nonprofit,
So you work
providing
with
services. Yes,
okay,
I provide services to a housing agency.
very good. Okay, what services do you provide?
We give them information on resources that are available to them. We're currently working with them on a project to help them become homeowners.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now what you do prior to retirement was an accountant. Now you assist nonprofits in a variety of ways. It's almost very consultative in nature because I'm sure
Yes.
you have a plethora of skills that these nonprofits need. So I understand what you do. I understand who you do it for. I even understand some of the problems that you solve. All right. What is your superpower?
I think I can relate to people. A lot of times when people think about finance and accounting, it scares them. And what I always enjoyed was making people understand is that it's very basic. You just got to follow the steps.
I love it. All right. Um, from from an accountant's perspective, did you ever do anything specific or unique that other accountants didn't do?
I was very detail oriented in that I always felt during my career that Um, it could be attained, but you always had to make sure you teach someone. And working in corporate America, I felt that mentoring was very important.
Mhm. Very good. Thank you for that. Your onlyness is your superpower. I look at all of you as superheroes, right? There's something called the superhero's journey or hero's journey, right? Um, it's where you are just an ordinary person, but something happens that allows you to obtain access to these superpowers. If you look at any Marvel comic or any superhero comic, they don't just naturally have these superpowers and know how to use them. No, an instant happens, right? And within that instant, they acquire these powers. Now, once they acquire these powers, many times they didn't know how to out the gate use them. So they had to fail, they had to learn, they had to experiment or what have you. But ultimately, they began to master this power, right? Every superhero has a different power, right? That's what makes them unique. Each and every last one of you have a different power. You didn't always learn how to use that power, but you learned it, right? And some of you even mastered it. Now, the other thing about superheroes is that oftentimes superheroes would fail. They would fail. They would fail. Um, and then they would have to overcome some obstacles and odds in life. We have all failed and we're trying to overcome odds, right? But then ultimately they end up saving the world. Now, with these superheroes, they all have a different power. That power is what makes you unique. Oftentimes, what I've learned through my interacting with just regular people is that many times you have these powers that you're not using, right? Um, these things that make you different, but you put them on the shelf. Try to find ways to integrate all of your superpowers. If you like to laugh, pull that one off the shelf. If you are good in a specific skill set, pull it off the shelf, right? If you have a sense of humor or people find you to be funny, that's a superpower. Not everybody is. Pull it off the shelf, right? All of these things. If you're a communicator, right? Then open up your mouth and use your voice, use your words, right? Communicate. But it's all about understanding what your unique thing is that makes you different from everybody else, and then being able to speak to it as a part of your pitch. Being able to speak to it is very, 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 very important. All right, because it's what makes you different from everybody else that are trying to engage with the people that you're trying to serve. All right. Lastly, what do they get as a result? What do they get as a result? That's the return on investment. Um, Marion, you talked about you have a dissertation consultant, right? What are you expecting to get out as a result of utilizing the dissertation consultant?
I expect to get services that will help me complete all of the sections of my dissertation, thus completing the dissertation and my doctorate degree.
Very good. That's the what's in it for you, right?
That's
You have to, as a business owner, you have to understand what the what's in it for people is, right? The more you understand and can speak to what the problem is and then what they will get at the end, the more they are likely to engage with you and then also spread the word about you, right? I told you at the very beginning, I would have failed if you are unable to pitch yourself a little bit better than you did when you first got here. Um, I provided you tools. I provided you a process or a framework to practice because it does require practice and to ultimately deliver upon, right? Um, why you? What do people get as a result of engaging with you? And then lastly is how do you tell that story? Um, my name is Nick F. Nelson. I own a company by the name of Brandpreneur. With Brandpreneur, I help remarkable people of color and their allies, professional people, elevate their professional reputation online as well as in person. I do that by providing them the training, the image, the tools, the resources, right, and the guidance needed for them to do two things, and that's get noticed. And by getting noticed, they unlock hidden opportunities that allow them to propel their personal professional development at a much faster rate than if people never knew that they existed. When it comes to your pitch, when it comes to how you introduce yourself, it should be just as tight as that. What you will find is that there will be keywords and phrases that you should say over and over again. You don't defer to the left or to the right. There'll be some points in the middle where you can kind of freestyle, right? And you should, right? See what works, right? It's constantly perfecting your pitch. When Kevin Hart goes to Madison Square Garden, he spent a year in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Columbus, Ohio, and things of that, they smaller markets, perfecting his jokes, right? So when he gets to the main stage, he knows what's gonna hit. He just knows, he knows, right? It's the same thing with you. As you are out and about, perfecting your pitch, perfecting how you introduce yourself, looking at who are you? My name is, right? Right? Your name. What do you do? I do this. I do this. I do this. Who do you do it for? All right. Who do you help? Who do you serve? We all should be serving something. What do they want and need? That's the problem you solve. What is the problem? What's the problem? Right? And being able to speak to the specific problem, because the person on the receiving end just may know someone who needs a dissertation consultant. What is your onlyness? The thing that makes you unique, the thing that makes you special, right? Pull all the various pieces of you from your life, from who you are, the chapter of who you are, and use them, right? Because they are all your superpower. What do people get as a result? Be able to clearly articulate what it is people walk away with by engaging with you, right? People walk away with me hidden opportunities that they would have never had if people did not know that they existed, right? That is my promise. Everybody should have a promise when it comes to their brand. I promise too, right? And so that is why it's so important to be able to articulate these things and then ultimately be able to message them out. So I would, suggest all of you snapshot this, go in, perfect your pitch, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, right? Be able to articulate it, but then also use it as a guide to be able to promote yourself and feed other people the words to promote you as well. All right. Who has any questions?
I have a question.
Hmm?
Hi, this is Bridget. I have my own business. I have a leadership development company called You Lead here in Pittsburgh.
Huh?
And I think one of my challenges is, and I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but often it's just finding the time, um, being both I'm literally all the things in the business and running the business at the same time, right? So oftentimes I'm trying to find the time to promote the business, to tell the story, to do all those things. I'm trying to be more deliberate about that. But do you have any tips, tricks, tools to fit that into like the tempo of a very busy business owner?
Sure. Find a cadence, first of all. So I'll give you an example. One of the places where I'm most active on social media, I've determined a long time ago, I don't even like social media like that, but it's a necessary evil as a business owner. I said, if I'm going to be in one place and invest time, it's going to be in one area because I am all things for my business as well. And so I decided to make that area LinkedIn. And so 2 or 3 times out of a week, if you are connected with me, you will see posts from me. First of all, I came up with a strategy. That strategy is I'm going to tell the stories of my clients, right? And I'm going to provide them information. I'm going to provide them inspiration, and I'm going to provide them insights. Those are the three things that really make up great stories and great content. If you've ever watched HGTV or the Food Network or even CNN, things of that nature, they're all entertainment outlets. What social media is and why we go to social media is many times to be entertained. We want to learn something. We want to be nosy, see what other people are doing. We just want to veg out, what have you, right? But it's a great way for people to introduce, or you to introduce yourself to them and build audience and fan base, even in some instances. But to answer your question, you schedule it, and you schedule it like you schedule everything else, right? You schedule time to eat. You schedule time potentially to work out. You schedule time to do other things. This is just another thing. But now, if you have a schedule, if you have a strategy, and if you have a method to the madness per se, right? A lot of times with these platforms, you can schedule in advance. So you could say, I'm going to spend an hour coming up with 3 solid posts that talk about something that I'm teaching something from an insights perspective. I'm giving them information about me because people are inherently curious, and I am providing inspiration, right? If you knock your content out into 1, 2, 3 of those buckets, or even find some content that can be consolidated into all of them, many times is, what does my schedule look like? What's happening currently in the media and in the news? What have I learned this week, right? What's going on with me? And sharing, right? It doesn't always have to be related to leadership development. Many times it should not be. It should be related to, more than just leadership, but teach people something, right? Inspire people, give some people insights into your background. But in tools like LinkedIn, you can pre-schedule all of this stuff and say, I wanted to run on this date, this time, boom. And all you're doing is engaging with people as they, do that, right? But social media is a very powerful tool that many people are not leveraging or leveraging it effectively, especially LinkedIn. Your headshots look a mess. You don't have a banner in your header. You're not known for one thing, or it doesn't make sense in terms of what it is you do. Your about section sounds like a resume, and you haven't posted anything in a while. You're missing out on opportunities. Just think it's a freeway of opportunities going right now. But because no one's seeing you, they don't know to go to you, and they don't know to refer you if they know somebody who needs a leadership development coach. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been to the Rice Center, and it's a phenomenal space and place to be. It's a lot of very, very inspirational entrepreneurs and things that are happening there. So
Yep, they sure are. And next time you hear, by all means, please look out for your brother.
will do.
Other questions?
Yes, sir. I have a question, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you, first of all, my brother, for coming to the Berg, man, and educating us on entrepreneurship, man. It's a very liberating experience, man, and the knowledge that you're sharing with us is something that's definitely very needed, and we thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
So I wanted to ask you, I'm trying to build micro communities in Africa,
Yep.
and I'm modeling a community off of a community right there in the ATL. I don't know if you're familiar with Brother Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
So I'm building micro communities that are modeled just like his in Africa. There's a market there, and it's going to be a little different because we're going to have to price it for the market in Africa.
Yeah.
However, the demand is tremendous. And so what I'm also trying to do is educate my people here in the motherland about the investment opportunities that are available in the motherland, well, here in the States. But I'm trying to educate them on the opportunities that are available to invest in Africa.
Yeah.
Some people may even want to move to Africa, especially given current situations. You have any ideas on how to best approach that?
So first of all, it really is going through the process that we just talked about. You got to understand who would be most likely to even be interested in, because not everybody wants to move to Africa. Not everybody wants to invest in Africa. There has to be a certain mindset. So really understanding who that mindset is, and then find collective people that share that same mindset. For example, I'm not a big Facebook person, but one of the things that is very good within Facebook is something called groups, right? You can do a search on anything and you'll find there's a group for it. Same thing on LinkedIn, things of that nature. Good people know good people, right? What you have to do is you have to insert yourself into a network or networks of people that have that same mindset, right? In terms of investment overseas. Man, I know, man, I have one sister, she's a realtor here in Atlanta. She just opened up a hotel in Ghana and she keeps on trying to, she's like, Nick, Ghana just like Atlanta. That's what she tells me all the time. She's like, it looked just like Atlanta, Nick. Really?
Yeah, I was just there, man. It's true.
Yeah,
Accra.
yeah, man. And so she's like, she's like, Nick, you gotta go. Like, you have to go, right? Other people like looking at Belize and things of that nature. I know a lot of people who are building, homes in Belize and things of that nature. Of course, it's other areas. Some people are talking about Colombia. You know, so internationally, I've just been in networks where I've heard people, exploring that, but it is, to answer your question, making certain that you are plugging yourself into these right networks, but then you're also able to very clearly speak to the opportunity, make it make sense, and then give them. When I sell, I tend to just focus on one thing, right? I don't go all over the place, right? I listen to what a person is telling me their problem is, and then I just go at my list of my menu, and I say, okay, based on this, she wants the combo meal right here. Same thing with you. It really is finding different ways to kind of pinpoint and target based off of, as you are meeting people and they expressing interest, just the one thing that you need to kind of fine tune in on to ultimately get them to do something, and then have a clear call to action. The thing that many people don't have is a clear call to action. Call to action is, this is what, at the conclusion of this conversation, this is the one thing I want you to do. All right. What is your clear call to action? That's my question to you.
I want people to be realistic about the situation that they are experiencing, as you mentioned that, you are trying to help colored people. That's what your business is focused on.
Okay.
So we have to ask ourselves a question, especially now. How does a prosecutor lose an election to someone who is a convicted felon? So for us as a people, at this point, I'm just trying to communicate in a way, like, how do I?
So right now,
communicate that?
right now, I don't know what you're asking me to do.
Okay.
I ask again, what is your clear call to action? My clear call to action is, I direct people and say, you know what? Do you have 10 minutes of time? I'd love to talk to you for just 10 minutes. Sure, I can spare 10 minutes. I send them a link, they schedule a time, and I talk, right? One
Right.
thing, I'm only asking a person to do one thing, right? You
And I
have to make
think that's,
very, very, very clear. So based off
yeah.
what it is you're doing, you got to be clear in the one thing you're selling. You got to be clear in the problem that you're solving. You got to be clear on that return, and you got to be clear in terms of how you message it with a strong call to action, right? That is how this works. And oftentimes many people don't work it the way it needs to be worked, right? And it's nothing wrong with it, man. I can tell you're very passionate, but you will lose people.
I think right here you helped me with something, if I may.
Uh-huh.
My call to action actually doesn't really involve me wanting somebody to do something.
Yeah.
My call to action is for people to want to do something for themselves.
Okay.
So my goal basically is to provide information that helps them make an informed decision, that enables them to know that the decision they are making is going to be the best one for them and their family and the future of their, generations to come. So that's probably what the disconnect is for me with that particular approach of trying to get people to do something.
Yeah.
I would prefer to share information with people and let them be informed and make the decision for themselves. So, but I'm going to work on that part that you were talking about, like the elevator pitch, because I've been doing this
Yes,
for a
sir.
little while. And I know that that is typically how people do things. They have a thing that they typically say when people ask them what they do. But like you said earlier, also, we are always evolving. So what I'm doing now, I may not be doing,
Yeah.
like a month from now,
Correct.
because the
Yeah.
experience that I gained from that may have taken me somewhere else. So to communicate to people what that experience is, it may be helpful to them and may expose them to that opportunity that you've been talking about, the entire time that they didn't know was there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking to do. Is like, I don't want to change. I don't want to make anybody do anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened here in this election. People were influenced by other people and they didn't search within themselves to know the authenticity of the situation that they were making a decision on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sure I didn't answer it the way that you were expecting me to answer it, and I apologize for that, but I have to answer you honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think the things that we have been doing by just, going by the same things people have been doing over and over again, that's how we got jammed up this time.
Yeah.
We only have time. Thank you for your questions. We have one other question because we have another speaker coming on. And I think there's something in the chat from Marion Woods. You want to just jump in, and thank you for all the information. Maybe you can put your information in the chat and we can possibly get in touch with you. Thank you. Marion, you have a question?
No, so I was actually attempting to make certain that we gave Mr. Howard the opportunity to ask his question, yet keep moving the program forward, given that we have the next speaker, and wanting to give Nick an appropriate opportunity to lead out.
All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock, and I know you are keeping a wonderful schedule and you're staying on time. I'll leave with this. You have to recognize that you are a brand. A brand is two things and two things only. What do you want to be known for? How do you want to make people feel? What is the experience of you like, right? You are an experience. You're either going to be a good experience, a bad experience, a memorable experience, or a forgettable experience. All of that falls underneath feeling, right? And so definitely take these 6 items, work on how you communicate. Understand that nowadays brevity is important. Brevity is super important. So you have to understand how to say a lot in a little bit of time with not so many words, because that's the way our mind has been trained nowadays through social media and the speed and pace of things. We feel like we just don't have time. And so if you want to capture somebody, or at least have them walk away with what it is you want them to know, clarity is very much so important. So, Marion, so thank you so much for the invitation. To everyone, thank you for taking time to listen to me. If you would love to connect with me, the best place is on LinkedIn at Nick F. Nelson. I'm very active there. I'm active in the DMs. I'm active on the posting. I live and play there, all right? And so if you have any needs or questions, I'd love to connect with you and answer any questions you might have offline or even do business with you. So thank you, Marion. I appreciate it.
Nick, thank you for being available. As always, my brother, thank you for bringing the A to the Berg.
Absolutely. You got it. Thank you, Ben. Take care.
Thanks. Deborah, turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to do the drawing. So if you can take it to the drawing. And it'll be for the participants that participate in today's Entrepreneur. So we're going to give out 2 prizes. One of them is an Amazon gift certificate for $25. And another is a day pass to the Kingsley Center. So the first one is Robert S. You are the winner of the gift certificate. Yay! Congratulations. All right, the second one will be Terry. You are a winner. You are a winner of the day pass for the Kingsley Center. Can both winners put your information in the chat so we can get in touch with you to get your gift certificate if you won that or your day pass? All right, moving on. And first of all, I would also like to say once again, thank you to Nick for his 6 questions on branding. He did an amazing job explaining those questions that every entrepreneur would need to ask themselves. And now I have to work on my avatar. All right, let's go on to our next speaker, who is going to be, I'll introduce him. His name is Alexander Payton. He brings a thoughtful, hands-on approach to building relationships and managing operations and fostering meaningful community engagement. He's as a director of operations and technology at the Kingsley Association. Alex supports the organizations through effective outreach, and he has been instrumental in helping to improve how communities share their stories, using data-driven approaches to amplify their voices and ensuring resources are aligned with local needs. Through his experiences, Alex has cultivated an understanding of how to navigate the intersection of data, storytelling, and community impact. I now introduce you to Alex. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I want to say thank you for the presentation in the beginning. I think it was very insightful. And honestly, I think he really hit on a lot of the elements that I was asked to speak about, especially in regards to how Kingsley Association may go about some of its marketing on a local level. To understand who we are we're an organization with a mission to foster youth and community leaders through integral programs and services. How do we do that? We do that with first acknowledging our long history. We have 130 years. We've been an organization since 1896. And with that, we've also gone through a lot of different pivots and changes within our mission. We first started off as a settlement organization in the Hill District, and continue to move through multiple neighborhoods. We used to be, a lot of people know us from the Busway, Kingsley. Some people know us on Auburn. We are now centered on Frankstown and East Liberty Boulevard, right down from Bakery Square, or right down from the Target, depending on what your sense of direction is. And we are a large community center. I think 54,000 square feet, with a pool, a gym, a yoga studio, which Deborah is a wonderful teacher in, a Pilates studio, Pilates studio, community room, a seminar room, and a recently developed digital innovation center. which, I think to play into the like, what do we do, right? I think one thing that continues to help the Kingsley Association is that other people sell us. There are lots and thousands of relationships I tend to walk into whenever I'm walking through just the neighborhood. Someone who's been here when they were, 30 years ago, when they grew up as in a youth program. And we lean onto those relationships. And if there's a superpower that allows us to take advantage of that, it's patience. I think there's like that quote that says, tread lightly, because sometimes what you tread on is someone else's dreams. And there's a lot of history and what Kingsley is known for that comes about when we're introducing new programs and/or removing and furthering programs. So we try to take a very insightful approach with that, and build on relationships in regards to bringing people together. Currently, I'm over actually at the Homewood Community Engagement Center, sporting this Black Pittsburgh satisfaction and retention survey release that BPEP and the University of Pittsburgh is going to be doing. And in that same element in which we market, we help support other people, and that support and that mutual aid element plays a large part in the success of a lot of our programs, because we all need each other in the ecosystem, in which some of the greatest things that you can get at Kingsley Association is the resourcefulness and the, hey, what do I need? I don't know. You talk to somebody and you may be able to get linked into something that's going on, whether you need health and wellness, mental health services, programs for your teens, programs for your youth, diapers, food, you name it, and we probably can either provide it to you from our own center and/or direct you in the right place. And we're in a great location when it comes to transportation. So um, now, is there? So yeah, that's that. I mean, I could talk a little bit more myself, but Deborah, is there anything in particular you like me to cover it all?
Yes. How are you in terms of, I know you talked about branding in the community, and I'm seeing a lot of sponsors and those types of things. How are you getting that information out to the community, and the funds that you're able to get to for some of the programs, for example, the pool?
Mm.
How are you able to market them?
Awesome. So yeah, so we're funded through many different sources. I think one of the great strategies is that having multiple streams of income. So we have federal funds, we have state funding, some of them is city funding in regards to our Stop the Violence programming. Our pool is currently being funded through an RCAP, which is the re I can't think of what the acronym is right now, but it's a state funding program, and that's still built with state advocacy, making sure that we're involved with our politicians. We're a site for um, Lindsey Williams. We're constantly holding political events at our center, and just staying cued into what's going on in the air in the neighborhood, while at the same time having a really strong administrative office in which we have the development team, we have grant writers, and we keep a good track of our data so that we're not like pulling it out when the opportunity comes. We have it ready so that we have an authentic story, and we have the data to be able to support what particular grant programs are looking for, and we have the reliability of being able to serve and deliver when it comes to the deliverables, whether it's being able to meet the outcomes with our team lead program, whether it's sending the grants and writing the stories and keeping track of the numbers. So um, that has allowed us to be able to stay pretty active in regards to funding. And then, like I said, a lot of that is relationships. Our executive director has strong relationships in the Pitt community. He used to work at the YMCA, been able to cultivate those relationships. I'm new to Pittsburgh, but I am pretty active and outside, so I tend to meet people and like I said, connect with their own historical stories, in which you know try to bring them back. It's almost like a alumni manager, I feel, to a certain standpoint. So we utilize those, and then within I think kind of knowing who you are, your core element in which you could serve a particular need, and I drive that solution or drive that collaboration in which we could be a part of something. And that usually tends to get us involved and supported funding wise. On marketing, like I said, lean in to relationships, especially in Pittsburgh where it's a smaller market, or people, like if you're trying to do things on social media, I've noticed it doesn't tend to get the greatest return in regards to people showing up. You really do need to lean into networks of people, because I think people show up to things that other people recommend, and or they know somebody in there. So I've always tend to go to key sources. There's a grandmother who knows everyone on that particular block. There's a basketball group. Like, we lean into our groups, and because we're also a center that hosts people, we take advantage of the fact that we have some information to people who host things, and we ask them to invite somebody, or we build relationships. We make sure we're not just doing transactional uh, when people come in and out when it comes to rentals, and find ways to build relationships with them, whether making sure that they can talk to our teams, get involved in our youth, our family center programming, and just also just being a larger source to their own program participants.
Thank you. So it was kind of common thing that you were talking about as far as building relationships. And I heard Nick Nelson saying the same thing. So it is more, as you were saying, than just the social media. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other questions from the audience.
Yeah, I definitely want to lean on that. Other people will sell you, and that's ultimately, and everyone has a relationship. Everyone has somebody that they can lean on, or it's not to say, hey, go around looking to monetize all your relationships, but you mean something in somebody's life. Someone loves you. You are lovable. Take advantage of that. And find your solution, and just be authentic. I think that tends to help. I don't usually have to show up and be Barack Obama. Myself, and people, you know, I can make a phone call, and I can get what I need when necessary. So I think that's I tend to also relate to people who also do those same things, and I lean on some of the relationships I may not be able to build with certain characters. So I think it's really leaning in on a strong network, and I think one element of being a community center is that we do support that engagement and that community convening and bringing people together. So just making sure that we connect dots and build collaborative is like a very intentful thing that we do in our center.
Is there any, Sandra, is there any questions in the chat?
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being our spotlight business. And I just wanted to have you come on, or I shouldn't say, the committee wanted you to come on to talk from a local perspective. All right.
Thank you.
And so we're Bridget, we'll talk on our wrap up.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this evening. And thank you to both of our guest speakers for just some wonderful insights. I know I took lots of notes and have some things that I know that I need to do and need to work on. Just as a quick wrap up, wanted to let you know that part 3 of our webinar series is scheduled for December 4th, same time at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The topic is going to be funding. And as a business owner myself, funding, grant writing, business growth tends to be at the top of mind when it comes to a lot of the conversations that I'm having with fellow entrepreneurs or folks in general. And so our guest speaker we're really excited about is going to be Ahmad Gorey. He is the Assistant Director of Programming Management Division for the US SBA. So he's headquartered in Washington, D.C. And so we are really looking forward to having him and honored to have him in as our next guest speaker. And so we hope to see you all come back. We also hope that you tell a friend and bring a friend with you next time as well to learn more about what we are doing in supporting the entrepreneurial mindset. Thanks, everyone. You're muted.
Thank you, Bridget Bethea, and thank you for joining us. And we would like you to complete a satisfaction survey, which will be put in the chat. So she's going to put it in the chat, and we're going to give you a few minutes to do that. And on behalf of Pittsburgh Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, we thank you for participating and hope that you will plan on joining us at our next series, which is on December the 4th. And you're in for a treat. And we also will be announcing our in-person event that will happen with the Small Business Association as